You know that person who laughs at absolutely everything? The one who finds humor in situations that would send most people into a downward spiral? They aren't fine, and they aren't crazy. They've likely been through experiences that fundamentally rewired how they perceive reality. When someone cuts them off in traffic, they don't descend into road rage. They pause and wonder if that driver is having a midlife crisis or simply needs to pee. It's a strange, detached perspective. Because when you've survived your own Category 5 storms, other people's rain showers just hit different. This isn't a broken brain. It's a survival masterpiece, trained by necessity. Their nervous system has been calibrated in the dark. These individuals develop a unique immunity to being demolished by chaos. They've learned, through repeated trial by fire, that survival isn't just possible, it's inevitable. But here is the beautiful plot twist. Instead of becoming cynical or cold, they often transform into the most aggressively empathetic people you will ever meet. They don't just walk into a room and see furniture, they sense the emotional temperature. They read the texture of silence, knowing instinctively if it's heavy with unspoken words, tired from a long day, or sharp with irritation, because they've had to memorize the language of pain fluently just to stay safe. They notice the forced smile at the edge of the mouth and the slight shift in your vocal tone because, once upon a time, their safety depended on predicting the weather of someone else's mood. Psychologist Richard Tedeschi calls this post-traumatic growth. Research shows that many survivors don't just bounce back to who they were, they bounce forward into someone new. Their relationships deepen because they no longer have time for the superficial. Their priorities crystallize. They find an almost comical, beautiful intensity in ordinary moments. They'll tear up at a sunset or a kind word from a stranger and feel no embarrassment. But this beauty comes with a hidden daily cost: hypervigilance. The person who needs to sit facing the restaurant door isn't being paranoid. They are managing a nervous system that learned the hard way that safety is a luxury, not a guarantee. They often downplay their own trauma, possessing a literal allergy to being perceived as a victim. They'd rather be the hero, the helper, or the joker, anything but the person in need. In relationships, they are walking contradictions, fiercely, terrifyingly loyal, yet emotionally guarded. They'll show up at 3 a.m. to help you move or cry with you, but they struggle to voice their own simplest needs. To them, closeness has historically come with a price tag. To cope, they use dark humor as armor. It's a tiny, daily rebellion. When you can laugh at the absurdity of your own suffering, it loses its grip on your throat. They might micromanage the way a coffee mug is placed, while remaining eerily zen during a life-altering crisis, because they know the big stuff is beyond their control anyway. Beneath the resilience lies a quiet, persistent grief, not for a person, but for the version of themselves who once trusted easily. They are homesick for a self they barely remember, a childhood they didn't fully live, and a softness they couldn't afford to keep. Yet, this grief is exactly what makes them intentional. It turns them into lighthouses. A lighthouse doesn't shine because it's perfect. It shines because it remembers the darkness and doesn't want anyone else to hit the rocks. Strength isn't about staying whole. It's about how many times you can reassemble yourself when the pieces no longer fit. They are poetry in motion. Scarred, resilient, and still somehow finding reasons to hope. If you've been through too much, you're not alone. Say hi in the comments.